Harper Audio presents Sweet Revenge by Diane Mott Davidson. Narrated by Barbara Rosenblat. Directed by Jeff Barron and produced by Andrew Martin Paris. This book is copyrighted 2007 by Diane Mott Davidson. This production is copyrighted 2007 by HarperCollins Publishers. They flee from me that sometime did me seek, Sir Thomas Wyatt. Library staff and volunteers, what the dickens holiday breakfast. Great Expectations grapefruit, Chuzzlewit cheese pie, Tale of Two Cities French toast, Bleak House bars, Hard Times ham, Christmas Carol coffee cake, butter, syrup, assorted jams, juices, eggnog, champagne, coffee, tea. Chapter 1. A month before Christmas, I saw a ghost. This was not the ghost of Christmas past, present, or future. I didn't need to be reminded of bad things I'd done, nor, as far as I knew, of good things I ought to be doing. This wasn't, as my 15-year-old son Arch would say, any high woo-woo stuff either. I liked the past to stay in the past, thank you very much. Anything I hadn't handled well in my first 34 years, I certainly didn't want to be reminded of in my busiest season, when I had 25 parties to cater between the 1st of December and the New Year. Still, there had been that ghoul, that vision, that whatever it was. The specter appeared on November 25th, which fell on the Friday after Thanksgiving, when I was on my way to Smithfield and Hermie MacArthur's house to book 2 parties. I'd been looking forward to seeing the MacArthur's place, because the events promised to fill my Christmas stocking with dough, and I didn't mean the kind I made into cinnamon rolls. Hermie MacArthur had introduced herself to me at a church women's luncheon I'd done earlier in the fall. In her mid-40s, with a much powdered face, grayish-blonde hair, and a commanding southern accent, Hermie possessed an imposingly tall body that was shaped like a Macintosh apple, a hefty chest on stick legs. The luncheon speaker, a local woman named Patricia Ingersoll, headed a weight loss group. Patricia had been droning on about how nobody should be consuming my gingerbread made with unsalted butter and freshly grated ginger and, secret ingredient, freshly grated black pepper. I'd enjoyed catering Patricia's wedding reception 4 years ago. I also felt very sorry that she'd lost her relatively new husband to cancer in just the last year and a half. But I did wish she could have found another outlet for her energies besides telling people to stop eating. The churchwomen had been shifting, murmuring, and whispering about regretting inviting Patricia. I'd escaped to my event center's kitchen, where I'd been wondering what I was going to do if nobody ate dessert. Hermie MacArthur had followed me in, cornered me, and said, "Darling, we need to talk." She'd fingered her multiple strands of pearls and diamonds while telling me that she and her husband had lived in Aspen Meadow's Regal Ridge Country Club area for only 10 months, and she felt the holidays would just be a heavenly time to get to know her neighbors better. Yes, I'd echoed as I reached for my calendar. Great idea. I was all for rich folks getting to know one another better. We'd set up our November meeting date. But Hermie had been reluctant to leave the kitchen, and it wasn't because she couldn't stand to listen to Patricia anymore. I thought perhaps she wanted a second helping of something, or an early piece of gingerbread. But no. Finally, she confided that she was eager for the parties to go well, for her husband Smithfield's sake. It had been Smithfield who'd had the idea that they combined their holiday parties with a celebration of his hobby. And what is his hobby? I'd asked with trepidation, fearing something to do with snakes. "Why, darling," Hermie had replied, "it's map collecting." I'd almost choked as I imagined having to make a cake in the shape of North America, complete with squiggly lines for the rivers. But Hermie didn't mention a cake. I smiled and reminded myself that I'd had plenty of practice dealing with ultra-wealthy people and their eccentricities. So if the MacArthurs wanted to haul out their Rand McNallies along with some mincemeat pies, who was I to complain? I did tell Hermie that the one famous map of Aspen Meadow, with its maze of
Sample complete. Ready to continue?